So it is now currently 2 p.m. The last time I sent an update to you guys, well, I didn't send it to you guys. It's all going to be the same video. You know what I mean. Last time I recorded an update was when I got home earlier. I said I'd keep you guys updated when they call me. They called me at about 10:30, and then I was just like really quick to go there because the lady called me and she was like, "Hey, are you far from where we're at, or how close are you?" I was like, I'm in Lakewood, about 25 minutes away. And she was like, yeah, so the technician went on a test ride and he said that he couldn't duplicate any of the noises that you're saying. So I want you to do is I want you to come up here and go on a test ride with him. So I'm like, okay, I'll drive up there now. So I just drove back. Sure, we're still recording. So I drove back, and this technician guy comes up and he's just like looked like he was like mad at life, which is understandable. Everybody's mad at life, but you can't go to work and be mad at life and take it out on people who you're doing business with, let alone who's working, like the person who's working on your car is acting like this. You have a little bit of an issue. So we go out to the car. On the way out, I'm like, how's your day going? And he was like, it's okay. And then we were quiet when we were going to the car. Got in the car and I was explaining to him, I was like, the other day it wasn't making the noise for one day, and then it came back for like a whole week. And then before it went away for the one day, it was doing it for like a month. And I told him that, and he was basically like not really talkative in a way. And when we got in the car and we were driving, I was explaining to him what my mechanic said, and I obviously know they have to do their due diligence and get the, you know, the diagnosis and figure out what's wrong with the car themselves, right? They have to figure it out. Well, I'm sitting there and I'm telling him what's going on, and we pull off, we go left out the lot, and I get it about two streets down, and it's like a 2 or 3 lane one way, and there's like a median in the middle, and then there's like 2 or 3 lanes going the other way, and it's like 45 miles per hour or 40 miles per hour. So there's people coming and going, and I can't just keep stopping because it happened when my defrosters were on, is when it made the noise, and when I stopped. So I basically had to pull down a little side street. It was 2 streets away, right? Now, this guy had the audacity to sit there and tell me, yeah, I don't get paid, by the minute, so I can't be on these test drives for long. So, first off, I get a call from the lady, right? We're going to backtrack a little bit. Get a call from the lady saying the guy said he didn't duplicate any of the noises, right? Now, we're going to fast forward back to what I was just saying. He said he doesn't have long to do these test drives because he's not getting paid for it. So, obviously, I know he's not going to want to test drive for long. First off, how do you figure out a problem and hear the problem when you're not allowing me to bring you on the test drive for a period of time? Second off, if you sat there and test drove my car, right, and you didn't hear any noises, right? I know you didn't test drive it for long, for one, because you sat there and you were like, I don't have long to go on these test drives. So the first time, me not being there, he probably just went down one street and came back and didn't even try. And then the second reason why I know he didn't try is because the noise was away, right? It was gone. And when I was over at my buddy's house in Toledo, I noticed the noise, and I didn't realize it was only when I had my AC on. Now the noise went away the next day, right? It went away, but I wasn't running the AC or the defrosters, so I just thought it went away. Well, the day after that, it came back, and then I realized, I'm like, is it because I have the AC on? I realized, I'm like, the AC and defrosters are on, or the heat and defrosters, whatever, and I was like, I realized it was only making the noise. Maybe I only making the noise when I had that on. So I tested it. I tried it with the AC heat defrosters on, and it started making the noise, and it only made the noise when that happened. Now the guy was like in the car with me, and he said, is it maybe when the defrosters are on? Like, he asked me that question. And that's number two why I know that he didn't check really anything. Now, on top of that, him basically flat out telling me I don't have time to basically go on a test ride with you because I don't get paid for it. So basically, that on top of him asking me if it's when the defrosters are on, it makes me just think you didn't even like do your job. And then why would I want to have you work on my car trying to figure something out when you're not even willing to, go ahead and do your job right? And on top of that, we get back to the dealership after this 1.5 minute test drive. And I was telling him that it happens every single time. And when he mentioned it, was it when the defrosters are on? I turned the defrosters on and it started making the noise. So he turns his head to look at the front. Like I told him, hey, like, you got to turn your head to hear it from the front because the noise travels. He's like, I heard something. So you heard something now and not before, but you didn't test everything you needed to test before. So that's why you didn't hear it. So if someone's complaining about an AC unit making noise, you're just not going to check the defrosters. You're just not going to do your job right. And that's basically where that was at. And on top of it, we get to the dealership, and he's like, "Well, the only thing I can really do is we wait it out, and if the noise gets more consistent, then we'll have to, dig in to see what's wrong with it. Or you can basically pay me commit like my commission every hour and for my time, and that could take all day, and it could take into tomorrow, and you just have to pay for it." And I'm like thinking to myself, and I said, "Okay." And then he basically was like, "Yeah, the noise has to be more consistent, and this, that, and the next thing." Well, I'm like, how much more consistent does this noise have to be? If when the defrosters are on and it makes the noise every single time it engages and disengages, and every single time I brake, it makes the noise twice. It makes the noise once when it engages and disengages. I said, how often does it have to happen more than it's already happening 100% of the time when the defrosters are on every single time? I'm like, how often does it need to happen for it to be often, more often? And I was like, does it happen like, is it more often when like the noise will happen when it's off? Is that what you mean by more often? And he didn't have any answer for it. And he's like, well, I'm gonna relook at some things, check your whatever, and then we'll if I can't figure it out, I'll go and get the master mechanic. So I'm like, all right, dude, whatever. I go back in and I went up to the desk. I'm like, all right, so this is what's going on. I explained everything to her, and before I could even finish explaining everything, I literally got 2 or 3 words out, and I was choking up because I was super stressed out and super upset that guy literally treated me like he didn't even care, and he didn't do any part of his job, and he was just trying to get money off of me, and that's not how that should go. And I literally said like 3 words, like that guy. And I right when I said that, she's like, "Hey, and she called over the head manager of the whole department, and they listened to everything I had to say. And he was like, "We'll get you with another technician right away, and we will get that guy. We'll talk to that guy, get that handled right away." And lo and behold, lo and behold, they get a new technician. This guy, he was so professional. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not great with names. I have the card because the head manager of everything in that department, the maintenance and like fixing department, basically gave me his card and it has his name on it. And then George gave me her number, personal number. And I'm sorry, but I just can't remember the guy's name. I'll have to reach out and ask for the guy's name. I think it was like Billy. I don't know, that doesn't sound right. But anyways, that guy was super professional. He goes into the office to do something or whatever, and he asked me to sit at the table to wait. So I waited, and then he somehow got from the office. I don't know if there's like a back door, but he ended up where my car was, out all the way on the other side, and he didn't even exit the office ever. At least on the door he went into. Now, this guy, we get in the car, and he instantly, because it was an AC issue, he instantly was going with the power, non-power, going through all of the settings, every single thing you need to click for the AC to try and replicate that noise. And as soon as you turned the defrosters on, it went because it engaged, and then it went, and he was like, "That noise?" I'm like, "Yeah, that noise." He's like, "Yeah, you got an AC problem." So I'm like, "So how did you figure that out?" But the other guy test drove it. he didn't do his job, and he made me feel like I was like, you know, a nobody, and I was gonna pay him for his work, and he was being a complete douchebag. And the last thing, that's not even the end of it. I know they have to do, like I said prior, like you'll see in the beginning of this little rant and appreciation recording of the other people, which I'll get into in a second. You're gonna see me say that he's, you know, got to do his due diligence, and his due diligence that he didn't even do in the first place, and he has to figure out and diagnose it himself. But the thing that pissed me off even more was when he was talking to me and I was explaining to him what happened. And I have a mechanic that's been doing things for at least 2 decades, not only on Hondas, on every car, RAV4, Toyota, Honda Civic, Honda CRV, HRV, Broncos, everything from anything to anything. He literally rebuilt an engine, put the engine in a freaking truck. Like he's a good mechanic. He knows what he's talking about, and everything that he says is right in the end for what's wrong with my car. And right, so I go and I'm explaining to him what my mechanic is saying, right? And he never responded the first or two things I said. I'm trying to explain myself. He never responded right when I'm like, well, my mechanic said this, that, and the next, this, that, and the next. And then eventually when I mentioned it a third time, because he wasn't listening to me when I was telling him it was happening every single engage and disengage and braking, he flat out was like, I don't care what your mechanic says. And before he said it, he just chuckled and then said, I don't care what your mechanic says. We still have to diagnose it. Like, you couldn't be more of a douchebag, right? Like, you're supposed to be a professional. You work for Honda, right? And I'm pretty sure they straightened him out because he came back out. He came back out with the papers. He walked up and he was quiet. Like, he set the papers down. He's like, here's these. And then he looked at me. I looked at him. He's like, I didn't mean to make you feel some type of way. And all I responded with is, it's okay. But that's because I'm a better person. And me being a better person, I thought it through, because if I didn't think it through like I used to, not think things through and just say things, it wouldn't happen a lot of times. But if I was smoking, I've been a week sober, so now I'm thinking better. And when I was smoking, I would have just not said nothing to him. But what I was thinking about is they probably already chewed him, whatever. They probably already took him up on whatever and yelled at him, this and the next thing. But what I really wanted to say, how I felt, I really wanted to just calmly be like, well, dude, if you're having a bad day and you're supposed to be professional at your job and people are trusting you to fix their cars, you can't act like that towards these people. You can't just sit here and be like, well, if I have to work on your car for hours to figure out this problem when it's not as pronounced and not frequently happening, when I told him 4 times that it happens every single time I brake with the defroster and AC engaged, every single time I engage it and disengage it, meaning turning it on or off. And that's not frequent enough. Like, you can't just sit there and tell me like you can't really do anything about it because it's not a frequent enough noise and you don't hear it often. And if I wanted to do something about it, I would have to pay you every hour, however much your hourly rate is for however long it's going to take you to look at my car. When you didn't do your due diligence first to look at the car, you're asking me if it's from the defrosters. Why would I pay you for a whole day, hours and hours of what your hourly rate is for you to come to me in the end again and say, I don't know what this is? Like, how does the other guy just go in the car and that's the noise? Yeah, you have a problem. How? I literally left and he did everything he needed to do. I literally got the rental car. I drove home for 2.5 hours, got a call, and they said, oh, he didn't find anything. But the other guy, when I got there and we instantly went in the car and he clicked through the things, all the settings, and turned on the defrosters, it heard it instantly. It's a damn shame, dude. These dealerships, They charge a lot of money for maintenance, and that guy should not be doing maintenance on people's cars. I wish I would have got his name so I could put it in this video. I wish I would have got a recording of his face so I could put it in this video. But now thinking back at it, recording this, now saying that, I'm glad I didn't, because I'm not that type of person. But just be careful out there. These people don't care about you. The other people are great. All of the other people were amazing. But there is that one person who's on your car. If they seem to not care about you in the slightest bit, ask for someone else, because you don't want them working on your car.
So I'm gonna just record a little bit of a intro thing here because I'm editing the Honda rant. And one thing I just want to add is the reason why you don't want these people working on your car who don't care about your car. I'm going to give an example here because I've heard horror stories. What if there's a noise, right? And they don't do their due diligence to check what that noise is, where it's coming from, yada, 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 right? In the whole 2.5 hours of the diagnostics, right? What if it's some lady that comes in, she don't know nothing about a car. She don't know what the noise can be, so she's just saying, I'm hearing this noise and it's coming from the front, right? They could either, one, tell her that it's 8 million different things and she needs a lot of money that she doesn't have to fix those things, got to put on a credit card, pay it off, whatever. But people who do a little bit of research and figure out, hey, maybe it's from this, and you go in there and kind of talk about things like you know what you're talking about, kind of, because you kind of do, because you did your little research. If it was that other person that doesn't know what they're talking about, and say they get that technician that doesn't do their due diligence to check, what could be wrong, it could be anything, right? Imagine it was a piece of the transmission. Well, not a piece of the transmission. Imagine it was a piece that got dislodged inside of the transmission, right? And it dislodges and gets lodged into another component that's connected to the transmission, and then your transmission just dies. But you took it to Honda, right? And you took it there, and the technician said they didn't find anything, and they let you go on your merry way. And then now you have a $5,000 fix. Probably even more than that, because now your transmission's broken, and now you have to get a whole new transmission. Or just get a whole bunch of negative equity because your car's not paid off, and then now you're $300 more a month towards your car note. Now that's just an example of what can happen. Not saying that would happen, but like a lot of people don't know these things. And the lady, luckily, Georganne, sat there and basically called me and told me, hey, come up so you could test ride it with them so you can replicate the noise, so that I don't have you leave here and it's a big issue in the future because they couldn't find the noise. And now that I know in the end they couldn't find the noise because the guy just didn't even try. Because like I was saying earlier, the other guy found the noise right away. When I'm telling you, we didn't even go on a test ride. We literally sat in the car for 30 seconds. He turned it on. He turned on the AC, turned it all the way up, turned it off, turned it back on, turned it down to like medium, turned it off, turned it back on, just checking different levels of if the noise is making more of a noise at a higher AC blow level or a lower AC blow level or in the middle, or if it's when the AC's on or off. And then we fiddled through that, and it was literally 30 seconds later, and the last button he clicked was the defroster, like I said, and it made the noise, and he found the noise right away. And we didn't even go on a test ride. So that's how I just know the guy didn't even do his job. And like I said, you guys all have to be careful out there, because if you don't know what you're talking about, and a technician, if they seem like they don't care about you, or they seem like they're having a bad day, usually when people are having a bad day, they don't put care into their job. And this is a job you have to put care into, because maintenance is no joke. Like I said, if it was a transmission problem and a lady came in there with a noise and the technician just didn't care to diagnose the noise because they're having a bad day and they don't want to take the time, and that noise was from a dislodged component, again, this is just hypothetical, that component dislodging noise dislodges from wherever it dislodged from and lodges into something else, it can destroy your transmission, your engine, and other major components that are thousands plus dollars to fix. So again, just be very careful. And yeah, that's gonna be the end of the video. If this video was helpful to you and you learned something about how, you know, the dealership is scummy and works, go ahead and hit that like button down below so you can support this video. And if you want to follow me, hit that subscribe button down in the bottom corner, and there's a little bell icon next to it so you get updated on every video that I upload. Go ahead and share this video to people who may need to know this information. Again, this was the Honda dealership in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. Again, the technician was whatever. He tried to not do his job. He didn't care to try and find my issue. But luckily, Georganne, who's been there for 40 years, was not letting that slide. And this is the other guy. This is his card. If you guys want to scan this QR code on this card, reach out to him. This guy's the GOAT. And then the other technician who they put me on, I forgot his name. He was great. The other guy, not so great. Yeah, that's gonna be the end of the video. If you're on TikTok, hit that follow button on my TikTok channel so you get notified on everything I upload. Also, my Instagram will be linked along with all my other socials, the YouTube, the TikTok. It'll all be linked down in the description below. And that's going to be it. Hope you guys have a great Christmas. Stay warm out there. Stay safe if you're driving. And it's been your boy Andrew Place. And we're out. Until next time. Peace.